Hi everyone, welcome. So here we are again, and today I'm here to talk to you about another setting of your camera, that is shutter speed. So what you are doing when you are playing around with your shutter speed. So the shutter speed is the setting that is adjusting the amount of time that your shutter is open. So all the cameras have a shutter, regardless of it is a mechanical shutter or an electronic shutter. So a shutter is some kind of blind, as the name says, it's a shutter that is opening and closing several times in a second, or not 1 second, or it can be open for a long time. But in video, it's always less than 1 second, a lot less than 1 second. And imagine that you are opening and closing your shutter at with that of your window, and letting light in and stopping it, and letting in and stopping, and that's the setting that you are adjusting, is that the speed and the amount of time that the shutter is open. So when you go to your camera, you will see in the shutter speed something like 120 or 50 or 100, something like that, and that's the shutter speed. So it's 1 second divided by the number that is below, that is the shutter speed. It's the amount of that time, it's the amount of time that the shutter is open. But you have to have in mind one thing. If you are doing video, there is a rule called the 180 rule, that it says that your shutter speed should always be the double of your frame rate. Okay? If you don't know what frame rate, you can go to this video somewhere around here, that I explain what is frame rate. So you have to have in mind, if you have, for example, using 24 frames per second, you are shooting at 24 frames per second, you should always have the double of that on your shutter speed. So you should be 1 under 48. But some cameras, like my camera, doesn't have 48, so you go to the nearest number, that is 50. So 1 under 48 or 1 under 50 is the correct value for the best cinematic, the best natural image. Of course, if you want something different, you can always change that values. Now I'm gonna show you the difference between those values. If you have, for example, 1 under 25, we increase, so you put the number is smaller, but the time is bigger, because it's 1 divided by 25, it's bigger, it's double the time. So I'm gonna change my camera for that. Let me see. Now at this moment you don't see a great difference. You see that it's brighter, but if I move my hands, you will see that my hands, if I move something like this, you will see that there's too much motion blur in the image. So you will see some kind of drag in the image. So you see it's like my hand, it's a painting, and you see the drag. Okay, now it's in the correct value. I will do this and you will see that it's more natural. It still has that motion blur that is natural, but if I increase the number, also I will reduce the time that the shutter is open. I will do it a little bit. So I went to 1 under 100. You will see that it's darker now, because the time that the shutter is open is half of that was. So it's, and you will see if I move my hands, you don't see that motion blur. Of course, it's not that natural, because your eyes will notice the difference. the correct one is the double of your frame rate. But if that's the look that you want, you can always set the camera for that. But the rules are meant to be broken, so you can try it and see if it's the look that you want. But for normal video, you should always put the double. I don't know if you ever seen a shutter. So a shutter, I have here an old camera. This was my first DSLR that I have. It's an Nikon, a D80, so it's very old, and I turn it on. It's without. So inside, in here, you'll see that it has. Sorry, here you see that it has a mirror, because this is a DSLR, and DSLR have a mirror, and because the viewfinder is optical, so it has a mirror, and the shutter is behind that mirror. When I'm gonna adjust this for an aperture, for the shutter speed of 1 second, so you will see that the shutter will be open for 1 second. Look, I'm gonna press it, you will see the mirror goes up and the shutter opens, then the shutter closes and the mirror comes down. And if I increase this value or decrease the time, let me go to 150, because this one, and you will see that. Imagine this doing it 50 times per second. So it's very fast, and if I increase it even more, you will see almost, it's difficult to see. You will see it because you have the mirror going up and down, and because this camera doesn't allow video, it's only stills. And imagine that if it's an electronic shutter, it's doing exactly the same, but it's turning it on and off the recording. So it's recording that the frames at that speed. So it's open and it closes, and on the next frame it will open and close according to that setting that you have. And there you have it. This is one of the most important settings if you wanna adjust the video for a standard or the desired look that you want. Of course, all the settings are important, but this one is also very important, and the others that I will explain you later in another video. So I hope you like this information. If yes, hit the like, subscribe, and that notification bell for being alerted when my next video will come out, and I hope to see you there. So bye.